Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right. Okay. Hey. All right. So, greetings, family, peace and blessings. This is Grand Rising Collective Podcast, and this is an episode that you surely will get a whole lot of information from. We have an esteemed guest with us today, which I'll introduce in a minute. I have my co-host, Kaide Bentley, and myself, Kyle Dixon. So just to give you a brief summary and idea of what the Grand Rising Collective Podcast is, it's a podcast started by myself, Kaide, in reference of being our best for the community, sharing our knowledge, sharing our expertise and experiences and insight. The Grand Rising Collective Podcast was named after the term Grand Rising, which is a term in the morning to start the day off on the right track. But it's also a reminder to be grand, be your best, be excellent at what you do from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. So we promote engagement, enlightenment, empowerment, and education, of course, because we want to make sure the community is educated to the best of their ability so that way we can move accordingly and to be at our best at all times, to rise to that occasion always. All right. So again, this is a little background on myself. I'm an educator, entrepreneur. I've taught in many different school systems, multiple cities, but I'm here to really to not only empower the youth, but give them the tools in order to empower themselves and their families, and that way they go off to be the best that they can always be. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce my co-host, Kaide Bentley, the man. Man with the plan.
Nah, that's you, man. I'm following the leader, so that's basically how that goes. I'm gonna try and be real brief, real quick, and introducing myself because I think it's very important that people know who's speaking to them, as well as what they're saying. So basically, my name is Kaide Bentley. I am president and founder of an organization called 4Ts, which stands for Teaching Teens to Think. The mission and objective of my organization is to help inner city youth identify their inherent skill set, so that way they can use that skill set to finish and complete their education, thus using that education to establish a career and ultimately start a business if they choose to. I am also a professor at Fordham University, and I sit on the advisory board of Long Island University. So my target demographic are inner city youth, particularly. The reason why I have joined Grand Rising Collective as in partnership with my colleague here, Kyle Dixon, is to be able to disseminate that information to not only inner city youth, but to our community or quote unquote neighborhoods. So that way this information is not just shared in the bubble, but it's also shared with parents, organizational leaders within communities, adults and things of that nature. So that way we can build the community to uplift one another and level the playing field. So that's the long and short of it. I hope that helps, and I'm ready to dive in and learn and learn more of Dr. Poe, our distinguished, wonderful guest.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. So Dr. Lorina Poe family is a physician down in Tennessee,
That's right.
Near Nashville. Am I correct? Yes.
That's right. Yes, right outside Nashville.
Right outside Nashville. So as you all noticed, Nashville, if you don't know, Nashville went through a horrible tornado storm about a month, maybe a month and a half ago. So they're still kind of recovering from that. On top of that, with the COVID virus happening everywhere, we're all having to adjust. And we want to bring Dr. Poe on, and she wanted to speak as well on her experiences as a physician, as a doctor, but also her experiences of lately dealing with the COVID virus. And I think her knowledge and experience up to this point is going to be very, very valid for all of us to be able to move in the right direction and kind of disseminate some of the false narratives that's going around, so to give us clarity, so that way we know how to conduct ourselves with our families, with our communities, etc.
Awesome.
Yeah. So Dr. Poe, could you please tell us a little bit about you, your profession, what led you into profession, and what it entails?
All right. So like you said, my name is Dr. Lorina Poe. I just want to say thank you for having me on the show so I can be able to help educate from a different perspective, the medical perspective, and then as far as being a business owner as well as a community member. So I did my medical training at Medical College of Wisconsin, as well as my medical schooling at Meharry Medical College, which is a historically Black university. I went from there to work at the University of Vanderbilt. And then I decided to open my own practice, focusing on health and wellness instead of focusing on disease. And so I think I have a unique perspective as far as COVID-19 is concerned. I'm welcome to any questions that you all have to offer. So the health and wellness aspect of it, I decided to get into that after realizing how the education that I give to my patients regarding health and things that they can do to be healthy impacted their diseases. So they start taking less medications. Like once you know, you do better. And once you do better, then you don't have to take as many medications as before. So I really focus on helping people get their weight down. So my business is called Cryo and Contour. We do body contouring from the mind, as well as we use lasers and up-to-date technology and everything, but focusing on changing behaviors. So you can do that with education.
Nice.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
That was a lot, Dr. Poe. That was a lot.
And Kai, before you go into it, I just want to say, HBUs, holla.
Okay. Oh man, that's a lot. All right. I guess I'll catch up as we go through. For me, I guess my passion for pursuing my career came about by happenstance. Meaning growing up in the city, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to get a job. I wanted to, have money in my pocket, and eventually it'll work out and establish my career that way. It wasn't until probably 4 years on the job when I was young, at the age of 22, that I started to learn about myself and what I became naturally good at. So my question to you pretty much is, what led you into wanting to pursue this career and being a doctor? Because that's a very intense field, very studies required, years of dedication and persistence. I'm just amazed at how you stuck it through and didn't quit when so many other people have. So my question is, what led you into this field of study?
So actually, I initially wanted to be a doctor when I was 5 years old. So I was in and out of the hospital with my mother and saw the whole healthcare aspect related to how they were caring for her. And I told her, I said, I want to be a nurse when I grow up. I don't have any doctors in my family. All doctors that I saw in the hospital were men. And so I just figured that was not something that I could attain. And she told me, she's like, why don't you want to be a doctor? I said, well, only men could be doctors, And then she told me that I could do it. So you can't really do anything that you haven't seen. So if you don't have an inspiration somewhere where it's in your family or someone tells you that it's attainable, then you usually, you can't do it. And so I'm glad that I had my mother in my life to be able to say, do the top, So when I see youth, I always, they say, I want to be a nurse. That's the first thing that comes to my head. Hey, why don't you want to be a doctor? Because it takes the same, like you mentioned, the age of 22. So I was, going to medical school around that age. And so it's like, if you are going to be, people say it's so many years of school and it's so hard, this and that. But if you compare, my life at 22 was hard. I'm in school, got loans, things like that, studying. Somebody else at age 22, their life is hard. They might be struggling, pay the bills, figuring out what they want to do. It's going to be hard. Whatever you do that's worth doing is going to be difficult. So I think I was blessed to be able to have that ability to aspire to be a doctor, and then just sticking to it. My family just pretty much told me, you go to elementary school, middle school, high school, college, and then you want to be a doctor, you just go to medical school after that. And so it was just kind of like normal thing, even though I'm the only doctor in the family.
Wow. Hey, so I come from left field and asking questions, very unorthodox.
That's fine.
Well, two questions. Question number one, were any member of your family, such as your mom and dad, did they go to college and graduate? And
Yeah.
Good question.
My dad, he has his master's degree in counseling, and my mom's a teacher.
Okay.
Yeah. She had her, she actually has gotten her doctorate as an adult. Since I've got my doctorate, I think I inspired her, but she's got her doctorate in theology at this point. So she's a doctor too.
Nice.
That's like Sean. The second question is
Right. It is like Sean.
At any point, did you want to quit?
I did a lot of praying. So I think there was one particular time that I really felt like I wanted to quit, and that was when I had a baby. So I had a baby in medical school, right? So I'm thinking, I'm so smart. I finished college, I got married, got pregnant. I'm like, okay, I know I'm pregnant. I had the baby, and then I'm gonna take my first board exam, and then 2 months after the baby's born, so I could study while I'm off for the baby. I'm gonna be up every 2 hours, feeding the baby crying, I can't study. I failed the first step of the test. So I'm like, Lord, do you really want me to be a doctor? So that was like really tough blow. And that kind of, after I got the answer, yes, you're supposed to be a doctor, then I just, continued on, persevered. And so I think that was the only really time I wanted to quit, because it was hard to, restudy for a test that you have to sit for 8 hours to take, So, that was tough. But now that I've completed that, I just want to focus on educating people as much as possible to make sure that they're the healthiest that they can be.
Nice. I got a lot of questions, Cal.
I know. Let me go. All right. So Dr. Poe, so like you say, you talked about having that support, which is key, because, we deal with youth, and a lot of them don't realize how not just having people around you, but having the right people around you to kind of guide you and give you those kind of jewels to push you forward, like your parents did, like I'm sure like you did, and going into community. How important, or why is it important to have not just doctors in the community, but when we talk about African Americans, why do you feel, or do you feel if it's important to have African American doctors in the community where people can see you and talk to you, et cetera?
Well, I feel like it's important to have doctors, African American doctors. I don't think the race technically matters, as long as that person has a heart for caring for individuals who don't look like them or might not grow up in the same community as they did. So I know a lot of doctors, and the adversity that they've gone through has put them in a mentality of wanting to help. And so I don't feel like from the doctor perspective, caring compassionately for a patient, it makes that big of a difference. However, seeing that figure, looking like me, and makes it more attainable. But if that doctor can create a connection with the youth, I think that's just the most important right there.
Wow. Okay. Because I see Kaidi really. But this is great. So, because I mentioned in the other podcast, and Dr. Poe, we said Sean is a colleague of ours here in New York, and he has his doctorate degree, but Kaidi, it was in chemical engineering?
I believe.
I know it was engineering. Yeah, I think it was chemical engineering. Okay. And forgive me, family, if I'm wrong, but definitely go back and watch that as well. But Sean was just telling us about the trials and tribulations of him getting his doctorate, and how his mom went back and got her doctorate. Motivation from him. So it's like a similar story with you and him. So that's awesome. And I also want to go into, as far as like you saying, relating to your patients. And again, compassion doesn't have a color. Compassion is compassion. Have you faced any discrimination or I'll get slighted for you being a woman and being a professional?
Okay. Yes. So it's interesting you say that. So the first time I've had, tons of incidences, but the first time blatantly that I had felt that was actually coming from a Black woman.
Mm.
So I'm working as a doctor, doing my rounds, going to each room, taking care of the patients, evaluating, and this person had been admitted the night before by a different doctor. So I come in, introduce myself, and she was asleep. She turns over, because we have to do this early in the morning. So she turns over, looks at me. She said, "Oh, I don't want to see you. I want a white doctor. I only want to see white doctors." So it was like surprising because I'm like, I care the most. That incident, and so it was surprising coming from her. But I just simply said, I'm all you got. Let's just do this, So I don't really take that I guess opposition, and go turn around and cry or come on, let's get this done, kind of thing. So I think when I do, it's just so weird. So my job at the university is at a satellite clinic in the suburbs, right? Suburbs in the South, you got farmers and, those kind of people.
Right.
It was amazing. Like, I want to say maybe 4 or 5 times a day, the patients would ask me, what school did you go to? And I'm like, I thought all the doctors got this question because it was so common for them to ask me this. And so when I asked other doctors, other nurses, other nurse practitioners, like, everybody ask you what school you go, because it's just getting on my nerves, really. It's just really frustrating. So just sit there and explain when I need to be asking you questions to help to better care for your illness.
Right.
And so they're like, no, nobody's ever asked me that. And I'm like, so why do they feel the need to qualify, my credentials? And so, it was like kind of like a joke, Dr. Poe, you should just go in there and tell them, that you were a janitor and that they just needed extra employees. And then you just put the white coat on and see what they say, every day. And so one person asked me, what school did I go to? What undergrad did I go to? Did your parents ever go to college? All these questions. I'm like, well, can I please just take care of you?
Yes.
It's just, I felt like that was just saying that, okay, you're Black, you might not be good enough. What school accepted you? That's kind of how I took it. Maybe I shouldn't have taken it that way, but it just kind of fueled like a fire in me that, just got to be professional. You got to be, knowledgeable, have to set high standards. And so, I would be pretty short with them as far as those questions were concerned, and then just move on and use, same standard of care that I use with everyone. And then it's like the respect just kind of came as we had our conversations. But it's just kind of like an ongoing kind of battle to prove who I am and that I'm good enough to be their doctor, kind of thing.
Wow. Cal, that was going to be my follow-up question to that, because I wanted to know, like, after you actually helped them, did their perception and attitude change?
Definitely.
So, okay.
So you know how you feel when you go in the store and the person's looking at you like you're going to steal something,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Exactly. So that's the same way, when I come into the room, it's like they're looking at me like that. And then as I talk to them and explain things that they don't understand and break it down to their level, they're like, oh, she is smart. Oh, like, oh, I can trust her, that kind of thing. So it's totally different working in my own clinic, because those people, they already trust me. They feel comfortable. They feel like, they say I'm a friend or family that just has knowledge that they come to see me for, that kind of thing. So
okay,
it's pretty cool. Yeah. So I see all races, in my office.
That's because I was about to ask you, does that still happen today? Like, if you go and see a patient today, are you still hit with those? You probably would be if you were still in that position working for another doctor or haven't established yourself yet, but to hear that you have your own practice now.
Yeah, my practice is new. And one thing that surprised me, because when working for the university, the clinic is right down the street from my practice now. And so it's in the city that we're in is 7% Black, 7% Black, 7. And so a lot of my, a lot of my patients that are not white come from, 10, 20 miles away to see me. And a lot of the people right here in the community, I'm the only doctor in the city. So, that was a little bit of a shocker to me because when I'm working for the university, it's an urgent care facility. But, it's pretty much like they have to see the doctor who's there, and they have to see me. If they come in, I'm there. They have to see me. They don't get to choose. And so once they've gotten to learn to know me, then they have followed me over to my, office now. But there's like not many new people coming in from close by. So that was a little shocking, but it's
relieving too. Don't have to answer all those questions.
Right.
Yeah.
right. So.
Yeah, Cal, I'm trying.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So Dr. Poe, wow, 7 people. That's crazy. Wow, 7. Well, 7%, my bad, 7%.
Mm-hmm.
So with your private practice, in the midst of like what's going on right now, have you seen, like, just in general with diseases in the community, have you seen like a rise or lessening of certain diseases? And do you see certain ones particular to certain genders or ages or race or ethnicities? I don't like to use races, but like ethnicities.
So private practice, hospital medicine, urgent care, it pretty much the diseases are pretty equal, right?
Okay.
This is just broad, right? So pretty equal. However, you'll get a Black person that will get, just say, breast cancer, for instance, and they'll come in and they have a sore on their breast and it's bleeding. They got a Band-Aid on there and they've been putting, Vaseline on it, for the last year and a half. And I just figured it would go away and it wasn't that bad and I didn't need to do anything. And, then you get a person with a white person and they'll have breast cancer. And I think something's wrong with my breast. And you look at her, I don't see anything. Send them for an ultrasound or a mammogram, breast cancer. Oh, what do we need to do? I'm going to do whatever you say, doctor. Wow. And then, they get the surgery, cut it out, radiation, they're fine. But then the Black person suffers more, complications during the surgery. So I think they just come in later a lot of the time. And I don't know if it's because of the being scared that, different myths that you hear online or from your family, that if you have surgery, then it opens to the air and then it grows. It's not true. But if you wait till the last minute, that's what we try to avoid. So education is so important in the community, to go ahead and get that, get things checked out when you think there's a problem and avoid that denial phase. Encourage your family members to talk to you about it, whatever, is concerned. Don't minimize it. It's better if you have a mole on your hand and, it's go to the doctor and it's nothing than to wait and it's something and it grows and it can be deadly. So that's the biggest problem between ethnicities is waiting too long. And I don't know if it has to do with the Tuskegee experiments or
I was going to mention that
from the government or what, but that's a huge problem.
Wow. Yeah. That's a man. Yeah. I mean, wow. Yeah, because I was going to say that, Dr. Poe, like with the Tuskegee experiment, with the syphilis and with Henrietta Lacks, us as African Americans, people of color in general, we've been experimented on so much. And I think that's that, what is that epigenetics, that kind of like memory that we would call on. And not only that, but like people in our families, like, don't you go to the doctor, don't do that. They'll do this to you, and you can fix that with some tussin. As was a Chris Rock.
I think so. There's a middle ground, So like working in the urgent care in an affluent community, I'll have a patient come in. He said they have a sore throat. Ask them, how long has that been going on? oh, about 2 hours. I'm like, okay, really? Did you try to drink some water or, that kind of thing. But, there's a middle ground, and for people who are disadvantaged or have that mistrust, I would just encourage them to go in, when possible. And so I have, with my private practice, have developed a program that can do visits like we're doing here, so you don't have to actually go in, especially in the midst of the coronavirus, right? You don't want all that exposure, but where people can be able to have online virtual visits at a very discounted rate, so they don't even need to have health insurance, and they can still have access, and then don't have to. I feel like I'm a really down to earth person, so you don't have to feel embarrassed, if it's only a mole, that kind of thing. But I would rather you get checked out and know for sure. And then the other thing is that people, you don't have to go to a doctor that you don't like, right? So people tell you, oh, I don't like that doctor. I don't trust that doctor. Okay, don't go back. There's hundreds of doctors, thousands of doctors out here that would mesh well with your personality, care for you the way you want, make you feel comfortable answering and asking questions. So switch doctors, right? So if you do have insurance, you have an insurance card, the insurance company gives you a whole list of people that you can go to. So you can make a choice. So feel empowered that you have the ability to choose, instead of just sacrificing your health and not even going to get care because you don't like the provider.
Nice, Dr. Poe. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because a lot of people really don't know that. Like, they really think like, well, this is my doctor and this is really my only option, or this is the only option I know. So therefore, why would I go look for someone else when I don't really trust them or whatnot? But like,
and I think that has to do with self-esteem. So maybe I don't deserve a better doctor, or maybe lack of knowledge that you do have the option. So even with like Medicaid and government insurance, there's a doctor's name on the back of the card a lot of the times, and that's a doctor assigned to you. But you don't have to have that doctor, right? You can pick who you want to within their program.
Okay.
Dr. Poe is answering a lot of my questions before I get a chance to ask them.
Okay.
Good job.
Yeah. Professional. That's professional.
I'm gonna get a little personal here. You know how I do, Kyle. And nice to meet you, Dr. Poe. You're getting to know me as well.
Okay.
I'm going to share with you some of the challenges that I had, or confusion that I had. And I think, well, let me ask you this question. And it should be common sense, but I want to ask you anyway, because you're in this field. Is it safe to assume that certain states operate differently? Right? Because,
in what regard?
And how a couple of various reasons, and how they treat their patients, and the time that they take with their patients. Obviously, if you're in a hospital that has a lot of patients, the doctor can't give one-to-one, time, because they have other patients that they have to see and things of that nature. The situation with my mother in particular, why I'm asking, when you said, you have a medical, you have your Medicaid, you have your medical insurance and things of that nature. You can look on the back and see your doctor and things. Our doctor recently retired about 3 years ago.
Okay.
And when he retired, he gave my mom and I a letter that said, okay, I'm retiring, but these are the doctors that I suggest that you follow up with. These are doctors I recommend, right? Recommend doctors. The problem was that the doctors that he had on the list, they didn't have that same patient treatment. Because of the new medical technology coming in now. Our old doctor was used to doing things the old way, paperwork, and now with computers now and the new doctor, So long story short, and I guess the question that I'm asking, as someone in my position with my mother, what I faced was having to find a doctor that would give her the same treatment and care that our doctor gave before. So I guess the answer is, it was our duty to find a doctor who would be able to give that same kind of care.
And that could be rough, right? So you don't know how doctors care for their patients. And so a lot of times people who go to the doctor have friends or family that go to the doctor as well, right? They say, oh, you can see my doctor, or,
Right.
or the doctor who wrote that down might just have written down a list of names of the doctors that the hospital system told them that they had to include. It's not necessarily
Right.
someone who they think would be able to treat you the best or has the same bedside mannerisms as they do. So it is a little tedious to be able to have to, go out and try to figure that out based on word of mouth. But if you meet with the doctor and they didn't meet your standards, then I would not stay with them if that's possible.
So basically, you would have to do that research. Is there? I guess is there a certain template that someone in my position could follow that can take a little, that can make the process easier?
Mm-hmm.
As far as finding a doctor?
As far as finding a doctor, is there? I mean, based on, I know, hey, I understand. I'm just based on your experience and suggestions, it might help the listeners who may be going through, because if you have a family member that's not feeling well, that's
Right.
emotional enough already.
So this
Right.
is what I recommend, and it doesn't go by any book or anything like that. But if you go into a new doctor's office and there's a group of doctors, and you not sure which one to pick, go to the office and you ask the receptionist or the nurse, who should I see or who should I not see? And they usually give you good insight. I mean, because you can't, usually can't get back there to see the doctor or, that kind of thing. But ask the nurse, which doctor would you have your family members see, or who do the patients like, the most, or, that kind of thing, or who shouldn't I see? That might be more important. Yes, and you will get an honest answer.
Right. Thank you. I have some info to use now, God forbid, any future, but
Exactly.
thank you very much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So Dr. Poe, as you know, we're going through, a trying time right now. We all are, not only just choosing physician, but having access to physicians in reference of this COVID virus that's happening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I know you and I talked very briefly about like just certain things, but I wanted to be able to, have you come on here and just talk about your experience. And first of all, before I even get into that, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, your colleagues, thank everybody that's connected to the health field family. Thank you all, because even though, none of us may be directly affected as far as us, but we have family members, friends of friends who are being affected by this.
That's right.
And just the tireless effort and work and energy that y'all putting into, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Seriously.
You're welcome. Thanks for your gratitude. I can count probably on one hand in the last 10 years that, patient thanked me for, doing things like this. But in the last month, it's kind of like, it's more often, and it's really appreciated. It really touches me when I hear that. So I appreciate your gratitude. So I don't think we get thanked enough, because people are like, oh, doctors get paid, that should be enough. Thanks, or that kind of thing. And so, but just to say, thank you is really well accepted and received.
Very welcome.
So, I'm sorry, your question was what is my experience as far as the COVID is concerned? So my first interaction with the COVID was actually at a testing center. Very chaotic, so it's just you're trying to test as many people as possible. So many people coming in wondering if they're affected, because the coronavirus can kill you so rapidly, 5 to 7 days you can die. I'm trying to protect myself just as much as I'm trying to care for the other people. And then, going home after seeing, 30, 40 patients within an 8-hour period. And then, taking my clothes off in the garage so I don't, contaminate my family, spraying the bottom of my shoes or, antiseptic, and leaving the shoes outside, it's just dreaming about not getting sick or passing it on to my family. Then the second exposure I had to coronavirus is my cousin died from coronavirus at 31 years old.
Condolences.
That just like really hit me hard. So I got a phone call, that she was at work and her coworker was like coughing. Some people like to cough and don't cover their mouths. And stop coughing. Why are you coughing so much? Cover your mouth. Just at least cover your mouth. And the coworker's like, oh, it's just allergies. And I hear that a lot. It's just allergies. And then 7 days later, she's passed away. And so it's like, now I feel like, man, I don't even want to go to work. Push through and just make sure. And so after that, then the CDC brings out this, talking about we have a lack of protection for the workers. Mm-hmm. So we don't have enough masks, or we don't have enough gowns and shields and this kind of thing. And so it's really scary, going in. Though they don't send soldiers into war without, proper weapons and equipment. I feel like I'm going into war without, protection. And so a lot of us doctors and nurses and healthcare workers, we just felt like they really don't even care about us, Mm-hmm. So some people in the community might look up to doctors as like heroes, but on the inside, we're like, we work at the factory. Seriously, it's like we're the low on the totem pole. Got the CEO and the administrators, and they're making all these decisions, and they're, getting paid the big bucks, really. And then we're just like the workers. We have to follow their directions, right?
Yep.
So we want to make sure our voice is heard. But it's like we're always in the grind, taking care of patients. We got to see like every 15 minutes, you got to see another patient. How are you going to have time? Because after work, then you're making sure your charts are updated. And then if you have a family, or if you don't have a family, like you want to relax at some point. And so who's fighting the fight for the doctors to say, this is what the patients really need. This is what we actually need. So we have to, we rely on the American Medical Association, or, those different groups. But as doctors, we were talking, like, we haven't even heard from them to like be our voice to stand up for, PPE and different situations like that. And so some of the hospital administrators are saying, nobody needs to be wearing masks. They're still saying this at some hospitals. And it's just amazing. Yeah. So you're going to scare the patients with those masks on. Some doctors have actually gotten fired for wearing masks. Maybe their family members have given them, those paint, the filters and everything. So they're like, you can't wear those because you're scaring the patients. And this really isn't serious. Like, wait a second, like
what?
People are, this is, it's like, it's amazing, and then I think it's slowly transitioning, but I don't want it to transition in the face of more people dying. I want it to transition because it's the right thing to do.
Right.
It's funny you mention that, because I just, that's crazy. I've seen stuff online in regards to a nurse got fired. She had her own mask. She said, well, at least allow me to wear my mask, even though I don't have. She got fired because of that. So you bring up a very interesting point. The question is, I just heard on the news today that Trump is trying to mandate everyone to go back to work by May 1st. Now, if the president of the United States to mandate everyone return, and I don't mean to get political, so if you don't want to answer, don't answer the question, keep it. But mandating,
but that's real facts.
It's the real. Mandating everybody return back to work, return back to things as normal. And yet you're just sharing with me how bad this virus is going on. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about that, doctor? I mean, as a physician, in your role, they're not listening to you. They're not respecting your role, yet you're saving everybody. And you have this entity, whatever you want to call them, mandating this at the risk of people's lives. How do you feel about that? Is that the right decision or right move, in your opinion, your expert?
So based on my experience of, outside of being a physician, so let me go a step back. So there's something called herd immunity. I don't know if you're familiar with this. Basically, if most people are immune to the disease, then you can't really transmit it to other people. So like the chicken pox, for instance. If you get my mother, she made me spend a night over someone's house that had the chicken pox, and once you get it, then you're good. That kind
I've had that happen.
So if everybody gets it and then you get sick, and the sickness is, for most people is pretty mild, like the flu, you get the body aches and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So for most people it's mild. If you get it, you're immune to it, so then you can't pass it on to other people after that, right? So that's a good thought. However, I got 3 family members dead already, right? And what is it, like 50% of the people who are dying from it are Black. And so you're basically telling me that my, brown people aren't important. So it's like Hispanic and Blacks are dying. And so it's kind of like slap in the face again, And so I really don't agree with it. I think we need to continue to promote the staying at home orders. However, we have another issue with that. So you're staying at home, you're not making money, you're not providing for your family, depression, anxiety, suicide. Mm-hmm. So it's a double-edged sword. Mm-hmm. Wow. And the stimulus check isn't going to repair that, right?
Right. I'm waiting on mine.
Another question. All right. So staying at home quarantine, wearing the mask.
So the mask is actually to protect other people from you. I don't know if you're aware of that. So a lot of people are infected with the coronavirus and they don't know it. They don't have any symptoms. So you can be exposed to the coronavirus day 1 and you don't get symptoms till day 14.
Day 14? I heard it was 7 days.
It can be up to day 14.
Okay.
And so if you're going, to the grocery store and around your family and to your kids and wherever, you can be giving the coronavirus to other people. Jesus. So the coronavirus is transmitted through, your saliva. The particles of saliva can be in the air that you speak, if you cough, you sneeze, your mucus from your nose, you wipe your nose, and you touch the grocery cart or, that kind of thing. Yeah. But if you don't know that you have it, that's a big problem. So if you're wearing a mask and you have it and don't know it, you can't really wipe your nose and touch the cart because, the mask is on protecting you. If you cough, those particles stay within the mask. So if someone is coughing and they don't have a mask on, but you do, you can still, especially the cloth mask, you can still get the coronavirus if you inhale some of those particles. So the mask is really to protect other people from you. So recently the CDC has recommended, that everybody wear the mask just to decrease the risk of transmission to other people. So and then people are going around wearing gloves.
Right, that was my next question.
The gloves, if they're not used properly, they can do more harm than good. So the gloves are disposable, right? So once you touch something that you're not supposed to touch, we take the gloves off, we throw them away.
Yeah.
Some people are just wearing them all over. They're going here, they're going there, they're getting in their car, they're touching the steering wheel. So when you touch something that's infected with the coronavirus or any other virus for that matter, you just say, for instance, saliva. Just say, for instance, you touch something that has saliva on it. If it was your real hand, you would know it, right? But if you have the glove on, you can't, that sensation is not there. You don't realize you touched it. Then you get in your car, drive your steering wheel. It's on there and it stays on surfaces for hours to days.
Right.
So you get back in the car another time, you touch the steering wheel, then you wipe your face, then you're infected. And so your hands, if you touch the coronavirus with your hands, you don't necessarily get the coronavirus. So your hands have skin it's keratinized skin, basically layers of dead skin cells, right? So if you wash that off, 30 seconds soap and water, hand sanitizer, rub it, you're good to go. However, if you don't wash your hands and you touch one of your mucous membranes, which don't have that layer of dead skin cells, like the inside of your mouth, dig in your nose, rub your eye. So if you pull your eyelid down, you see that's a different kind of skin than what's on here, and it doesn't protect you like the skin on your hand would. And so it goes inside your system. And so that's why it's important to make sure your immune system is strong. So
Wow.
Very
yeah,
good.
it's very important. So I think that the immune system, it works optimally in an alkaline environment. So that on the pH scale, you got the high numbers up to 14, very alkaline, low numbers, very acidic. And I think a lot of people are walking around with the acidic environment in their bodies, and that's due to what they put in their bodies. So it's a big deal to eat the right foods. But since a lot of cheap foods are acidic, then we get into a problem. Then that's where the disparity comes in.
Wow. Wow. Thank you about that, Dr. Poe. So I got a number of questions from that. Okay. So, like I said, with the mask and whatnot, what do you know what type of mask people should be getting? That's my first question. The second question is in reference of like pH foods, like that's potential hydrogen, if I'm correct. pH stands for potential hydrogen, something like that. Okay. What foods should they be eating? Because a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm just load up on garlic or elderberry. I've been thinking about elderberry. I'm like, I've never eaten this much elderberry in my life. Like, but people just loading up.
Yeah.
So those are my two questions.
Okay, so the type of mask, so since the mask is to protect other people from you, the cloth masks are appropriate. Okay, so if I'm going into work and I know I'm going to be testing someone for the coronavirus, I'm not wearing a cloth mask, right? I'm wearing a specific mask that has static electric charge that propels the microbes away from me. It's thick. It has a seal around. I got a shield. Actually, probably have two masks. That's what, that's a higher risk individual. I'm going to be very close in proximity to them. If you're going to the grocery store, that kind of thing, we're supposed to be staying 6 feet away from other people. You wear the mask, right? The cloth mask is fine. So as far as the foods are concerned, cabbage, blueberries, beets, grapes, greens, all green, lettuce and collard greens and mustards, all that stuff.
Kale and stuff.
Turnips, peaches, kale, zucchini. So all those things, pretty much. Onions are really good too. They don't smell as good, but yeah, onions are really good. Cucumbers. So you want to make at least 80% of your intake to be high alkaline foods. So there's high alkaline foods, and then there's alkaline promoting foods. So there's some foods that are acidic, but they promote an alkaline environment, and those would be lemons, limes, grapefruits, right? So they're high in citric acid, but that acid is good for your body, and it makes your body produce a more alkaline environment in the tissues. Okay. So it's important. So when you think about vitamin C, that's a big one. Like, oh, I took my high dose vitamin C, today, that protect me from anything, But anytime you eat something, it produces free radicals in your body. So it goes through an oxidation process, and you get free radicals, and free radicals make the cells, they age the cells. And so when each individual cell ages, then it won't duplicate properly. So you have one cell, and it's going to turn into two, right? To make more cells. So all the cells in your body, pretty much, you have a new body every 7 years. So you're going through this process all the time, just constantly. And so if the cells that are being duplicated are not at the best or highest function, then when they make a new one, that cell isn't going to be up to par, right? Wow. So you want to make sure that the cells are as healthy as possible. So the number one ingredient you can put into your body is water. So you don't produce any free radicals when you drink water. Okay, so people just don't drink enough water. They don't understand how important hydration is. So when you hydrate, it's not because, I want to taste something good, get a soda or juice or something like that. That's not hydration. You hydrate because your cells need it, and you should be drinking half of your body weight in ounces of fluid. That's the best protection that you can give your body, to be hydrated. And so most people are walking around dehydrated. They're tired. They say, I got that 2:30 feeling. Well, how much water have you had today? You just dehydrated, and then they go and drink coffee or energy drink, and then that dehydrates the cells even more. So, yeah. And so with the hydration, I can actually do a whole talk on that, but we here at Cryo and Contour, we offer something called alkalized water. And so it's huge as far as health is concerned. I think this is like the cutting edge technology, which has actually been out for almost 50 years now, came out in Japan and has been in the US for about 15 years. But when it came to the US, that's when all this bottled water started coming into play. And so alkaline water this, alkaline water that. And so basically the alkalinized water is different, right? So the actual molecule of the water has a high pH of about 9.5, which is excellent. Okay. And then these companies try to duplicate that. And so they take the, like if you put pH drops, like you can get it like a pool supply or fish supply store, get the pH drops, put the drops in the water and see what color you get. So if it's blue, purple, that's high alkaline. If it's red, orange, yellow, that's acidic. And so we did tests on tons of different bottled waters, and bottled water is acidic. Bottled water is acidic. If your body is acidic, then it leads to diseases being produced at a higher rate. So disease can't live in an alkaline environment, which is that's a theory. Okay. And so some doctors actually prescribe this water for their cancer patients going through chemotherapy. So I don't want people to get to that point where they're, having cancer and then, now I'm going to drink this water. In Japan, they have this water in the hospitals. America, they have, chemotherapy. So it's against the law to treat cancer with anything except for chemo, radiation, and surgery in the United States.
Interesting. Wow, I didn't know. Wow, I definitely did not know that. I didn't know if it was an option or what.
Yeah, so that's why some of the holistic doctors have moved to like Mexico and things like that. So, but I can't speak on their practices, but yeah, it's definitely illegal in the United States. So that goes into a whole nother thing. But we want to prevent those things by taking care of our body as the best way possible by, having the high alkaline foods and the antioxidants, which naturally comes in those vegetables that we talked about. The darker, the better, right? Beets, berries, and things like that. So, and then, I have so much information, but I'm just thinking about berries and all that kind of thing. So you're gonna wash the pesticides off of your vegetables.
That's what I was gonna say. I was gonna ask that. Like, should we be washing that off?
Oh my God! Yeah. So the water we have actually emulsifies or breaks down the oil-based pesticides off of the vegetables and fruits. So like we soak it and it turns yellow, like that oil just comes off. So if you don't have the water that we have, you want to use, soak it either baking soda or soap and water and wipe it off. So it's like just dish soap and water and wash your vegetables. Wash that off. Those are cancer-causing substances.
Okay. Wow. So okay, good. Okay. Wow. Thank you. Okay, because I've been doing that lately. I've been doing that before now, but I've been doing it like being really on it now. And I was like, well, darn, like I ran out of baking soda, family, so my bad. But I got the little dish soap, and I was like, I'm gonna scrub this orange, right? Yeah. I'm gonna rinse this bad boy out because it's been outside. Yeah,
because we get oil off of our hands with soap, Dawn, or whatever the dish liquid, so we can get those oil-based pesticides off as well. We need to.
Jesus. Question:
Mm-hmm.
Alkaline water. I used to drink Essentia.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you said used to. Have you ever looked at the ingredients on the water bottle?
I saw alkaline and pH balance 5.
Right, that's what I'm thinking too.
Marketing.
Yeah, that's expensive.
That's not good.
So basically what they do is add baking soda to the water. So would you drink baking soda water? Because that's pretty much what it is. So if you look on the bottle, like all the alkaline waters basically says sodium bicarbonate. Baking soda. Yeah, it's baking soda. And so people with high blood pressure, they're like, oh yeah, I'm doing good. I'm drinking alkaline water. But that baking sodium is the first word. That's salt, right? Sodium bicarbonate. And so you're increasing your blood pressure. You're increasing your risk for kidney stones. Yeah, it's not what you should be putting into your body. So if you, I would just stick with the filter water to hydrate, refrigerated, water. I mean, it's
what about like Brita stuff?
Huh?
Doctor, what about like Brita filters?
Brita filter, I think that's so much better than the bottled water. So the bottled water, the plastics absorb into the water.
Yes.
And so those chemicals have been known to convert, what is it? Male frogs into female frogs.
I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard about that. Yeah, I about a few years back. Yeah, like the hormonal. It throws off the hormones.
Throws off the hormones. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so I stick with glass and non.
What about and this is not to call out any brands or anything. This is all opinion. We're just talking. What about like Fiji and like Evian and
it's in a bottle and you don't know how long it's been in there, and it's acidic and it should not have any ingredients. Like if you're drinking water, it should just be water. So you look at the bottle, the ingredients on the back of the bottle and it has a list, it's like
okay.
This is so informative, man. This is
amazing.
Okay, thank you. All right. Let me process that. Okay, Doc, I have a question. I was confused with two things. The foods, that the darker the better, right? Very good. Water, thank you so much, because I've been drinking, by the way, Cal, filtered water. I haven't been drinking the bottled water. Got the filter. Brita, as a matter of fact. Plant. I heard plants are good, in the house that they can fight off viruses and things of that nature. Did you hear anything about that? Or have you heard anything about that with regards to plants? No? Okay. The other question is, I was confused about the face shield, right? I noticed people started wearing the face shield. I got that.
Outside of the hospital?
Outside of the hospital, in stores. I see them wearing it in stores. I see them, they wear the plastic, they look, right? And it covers their face. That confused me because I'm like, it's open, so air can still...
Exactly. So those face shields are for medical professionals when we're doing, like I said, the actual test. So somebody coughs because of the, test, and this is like straight at you, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And so protect that way. But that's amazing that, people at stores and things like that can get PPE. I'm a little jealous, They got
the hookup.
Family in the hospital, and wow,
You got a plug somewhere. Somebody plug.
It's amazing.
Okay. Oh, you got any, Kyle? Because I'm about.
No, go ahead, man. Go ahead. I mean, I do, but like, oh man, I'm still processing it. Like, Doc is hitting us with some like sleepers, man.
Are there any for those who? Just be honest about this. It's a lifestyle change, right? This quarantine is a blessing in many ways as well. Because Kyle shared with me so many times how it takes at least 30 days for something to leave your system. So that also ties into the food you eat and how you've been practicing how you live. Okay. We have the foods that you eat. They have to start eating correct foods and, for their body. Are there any medications per se, besides the vaccine, which is going to take at least, from what I've been reading and studying, 18 months, a fully effective vaccine, because that leads to my other question. Is there anything someone can take now to help fight this virus? Because Kyle was sharing with me, a friend ginger, turmeric.
Yes, turmeric. Yeah.
So are there any outside of like any medications, natural?
So you mean like as far as supplements are concerned?
Supplements like Centrum?
So one of them is zinc. So that the COVID-19 actually it takes your zinc. Like so if someone comes in on a regular day and they have problems with being able to smell, that's a sign of zinc deficiency. So I don't know if you've heard that one of the symptoms of coronavirus is not being able to smell or taste.
Yeah.
And so it's just like depleting your zinc stores. And so the zinc is used it's like the garbage can of the cell. The zinc helps that to work better. And so your body is constantly trying to fight off. So if you can help with getting zinc into your system, then that's actually good. Vitamin C is actually really good. However, so you don't want to go overboard with it. So I know some people are like, oh, you said zinc, so I'm gonna take 10. You don't want to go overboard because it can interact with some medications. The vitamins can make you nauseous, have diarrhea, abdominal pain, even kidney stones with the vitamin C. So you want to make sure you're taking appropriate dosage. So with the vitamin C, I would do like 500 to 1,000 milligrams. And for the zinc, I would stick with 100 milligrams per day. But getting it in the natural form is the best thing. So I think I wrote down a couple of, let's see here, vitamins. So with the zinc, natural sources would be garbanzo beans. So those are on the shelf,
I ate some yesterday.
Nobody.
Okay, I love garbanzo. That's one of my favorite beans.
Really? So you got high zinc consumption in there. So garbanzo beans, beef, lentils, cashews, pumpkin seeds, garlic, watermelon seeds are high in zinc. Yeah.
Thank you.
And then vitamin D is another one that a lot of people are deficient in, especially this time of year because we're indoors. And then with the quarantine, it kind of extended that. But vitamin D can help you to absorb other nutrients as well. So you want to make sure you have your vitamin D. So I would do about 500 international units, it's called, of vitamin D.
Okay.
IUs is that the name for it? Like IU.
Yeah.
And Doc, I know we talked briefly about this, like with the sunlight, like with the vitamin D, and I know I've just recently found there's different vitamin D, vitamin D3, D6,
D3.
like so.
D3.
D3. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
In reference with the supplements, because I know I had a vitamin D deficiency family last year, and I was sharing it with Dr. Poe that I had a deficiency that when I went to my physician, and he was saying a lot of people in New York City, because of the buildings, because of the shade, blocking the sun, that we tend to have vitamin D deficiency. And I made it a point 2019 to kind of be outside a little more and sit near windows. But Dr. Poe, you tell me about like with the windows and checking certain things and making sure you're out for a certain amount of time.
Yeah, so about 2 hours is what we need, to get an adequate amount of vitamin D. And so that usually is longer than, most people's lunch break, right? And then if you put sunscreen on, then that blocks the UV light and that blocks your absorption. Or if the windows have a UV protection on there, then same thing. And so it is difficult to be able, this day and age, to be able to get that sunlight, and you still want to protect your skin from skin cancer, at the same time. But getting out in the sun is important. The vitamin D supplementation can help.
Thank you so much. We're at the top of the hour. Doctor, thank you so much. We're going to try and wrap this up because I know you're busy.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I learned so much after all this. You gave me. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask one final question as it relates to inner city youth, because I deal with inner city youth. And then I would like for us to just wrap it up. Any final words you would like to share, how people can reach you. I know you're down south, right? You're
Nashville, Tennessee.
Nashville, Tennessee, so they can't see you personally, but at least they can reach out to you via.
They can see me. We do video visits.
Right. Nice.
So the
technology, gotta love it.
Right.
So the final question I want to ask is it directly relates to inner city youth, and then your final words, or however you want to end it. We can close this out. Again, thank you so much, Dr. Poe. Really appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Just met you, great person. Thank you. For these young people who say that they want to be a doctor and they want to go into the profession of health, from your personal experience, what could you share with them in regards to pressing upon them what to expect as far as two major things? The amount of time they have to invest as far as study. It's not a typical 4-year college, obviously not a 2-year community college. So there's post-education you have to take towards going for your doctorate. And in addition to that, tuition. Because some of them might have the drive, the discipline to stick it through, but the financial situation is different. I know you're not a financial manager and things of that nature.
Right.
You can give them, a young person wants to pursue that career. What kind of advice could you give them?
Yeah.
All right. So as far as the time commitment, I wouldn't even think about time commitment. So if you want to do it, just do it. The one thing I think that is a wrench that I think the community has put into the system is giving free community college. So that kind of tricks people. So if you want to be a doctor, then you should not take that avenue, because then they're going to be wondering, like, okay, so were your grades bad? Why do you have to go to community college? Why didn't you just go to the 4-year college? And then that makes your application look bad. And so you want to just go 4-year college straight through. Okay. As far as the money is concerned, I didn't have money for medical school. I used loans to get through medical school. And once you get accepted, it's pretty easy to get those loans. So that wasn't a big issue as well. So I think if you want to do it, the biggest thing is that making a decision to actually do it. And you're still going to be living, you get the 4-year college and then you got medical school. So you're still going to have your life to live. You can either do it in medical school or you can do it working a job that you didn't dream that you would have. So.
And Dr. Poe, to add on to what Kaide's question, because the youth that I work with, the high school youth here in New York City, up in the Bronx as well, a lot of them are so fearful of like debt, because their families and previous maybe family members who've tried to go to school and then they left like amounts of debt. That some of it is doable. They just don't have the wherewithal and not making enough of that type of money yet to realize that it's not really a lot in the scheme of things, but for them at that time it's a lot. So that pressure.
So what I would recommend is, the internet is so wonderful these days. So like finding a doctor maybe that's willing to have them shadow or willing to talk to them, one-on-one, to kind of be a mentor, to let them know that it is doable. Because like I said, you can't see it, you can't get there, right?
Right.
So their doctors love to help. So I would definitely, even if it's just a one-time meeting, to spend, afternoon or something like that, talking or meeting up. I think if they can be able to get face-to-face or on the phone with the doctor, then that would be the most beneficial thing to help them to realize it's actually doable. And I'm willing to do that. So. Okay.
All right. See, family, look at that. Woof. See, woof. That's a jewel right there, family. She doesn't have to do that. She does not have to do that at all.
All right.
I would definitely email Dr. Poe on that. Seriously.
With that, Dr. Poe, if you don't mind me, Cal, if I can interject, would you like to give final words and how people can reach you, and then we'll close it out and you can get back to resting and preparing. And
okay, sounds good. So at this day and age, we're going through this pandemic, and we're also going through what they're calling an infodemic. So there's so much information out here, and people just really pick and choose what they want to hear and what they want to listen to, what might be interesting. But what I would recommend is getting information from a reliable source, that being the World Health Organization. Also, if you want to Google your symptoms, I would recommend typing in, whatever the symptom is. If it's, stomach ache, then typing in after that AAFP. So it's American Academy of Family Physicians. So that's a reliable source that will give you information. It won't tell you that you got cancer right off. Sometimes you type in, your fingernail hurts, like, oh, it's probably finger cancer. That's what the patients come to tell me. But it's a reliable source. So you want to make sure that what you're listening to, what you're receiving is reliable. And then take as much of that information to your doctor, right? So you want to come to the doctor. We already know doctors don't have that much time, right? So you want to come to them. Number one, you want to tell them specifically what your symptoms are. So you don't want to say, they ask you how long has it been going on, you don't want to say it's been a minute, You want to, it's been about 6 days or 3 months,
Right.
Whatever it has been, exactly what you're feeling. So you want to think about this before you go in. So this can help the doctor to help you in a shorter period of time. So getting the information, being able to communicate that to the doctor, and then don't take, if you don't feel comfortable with what the doctor says, so if the doctor says, oh, just come back in 6 months and we'll see how it is, and say, you know what, doctor, I really don't feel comfortable with that. This has been going on for 2 weeks. It's okay to say that, right? So what should I be looking for in order for me to call you back, right? So you don't want to be calling the ambulance because you can't breathe.
Right.
You want to know what the steps are before, and then write those things down, or ask them to write it down for you so that you can have it to take. Because usually when you get in there, even me, when I get in the room with my doctor, I'm like, oh shoot, what was I going to say? What's the question? So write it down so that you can be able to tell them, because they're like, okay, what else and what else, and then they get get out of the room. So you want to make sure you're communicating everything that you want to them. You get the information that you need to be able to know when to come back, so it's not like too late. And then you want to be an advocate for yourself. So you want to be able to tell them, well, doctor, that doesn't sound right. That's not enough. But I read on the AAFP website said that a lot of people with these symptoms X, Y, and Z, then they'll be like, oh, there's a little flag coming. Oh, they know what they're talking about. Let me sit down and so you're an advocate.
Awesome.
Yeah. So and then if you want to reach me, my email address at my private office is info at cryoandcontour.com. I'd be glad to assist you with any questions or any mentorship opportunities. We can get some encouraging going on, because why be less than what you want to be? Go strive for the top.
Indeed.
Thank you so much, doctor. Thank you.
Yes. And Dr. Poe, you said Cryo and Contour?
Yep, CRYOANDCONTOUR. So we promote health, wellness, and being your healthiest self.
It's right there on that backsplash. I see it. I see it.
Bam.
I saw that. All right. Yeah. If you allow me, Kyle, you finish off. Bringing Dr. Poe here, fantastic.
Yes.
Everything Dr. Poe said, I learned a lot. Thank you so much. I'm not going to take too much time. I know she's very busy.
Yes.
Thank you again. If you want to reach me, I can be reached on YouTube at Kayode Bentley. You can also reach me through Perspective TV, where I do interviews with people in my network, such as Kyle, my dad. We're covering a lot of topics, but I can also be reached on Instagram and Twitter at Balogun, legit, BALOGUN, Logic, LOGIC. So you can reach me that way. And then also through this medium, which is the Grand Rising Collective, where I'm honored to have Dr. Poe here and professionals who are here to share their knowledge to help us make it through these trying and testing times. So that's how you can reach me. And thank you, thank you, Dr. Poe, again. And thank you for listening. I hope this has been of help and useful. And then Kyle, is all you, because you do the excellent sign-offs anyway. So let it rock.
Yeah. Again, I want to thank Dr. Poe again for sharing her time and expertise and knowledge on this particular situation, and just in general. Physicians of her caliber don't get enough credit. And I'm glad that we were able to have her. I'm glad she was able to be on here and take the time out to talk to us and the family about these basic things that we just need to know in reference of the virus and just our general health. Again, family, you can reach me, as my name tag says, at DIX_KYLE on Instagram. I'm also on Twitter at KEasy773. I'm on YouTube as well, Mr. Kyle Dixon, and you can reach me there. Send me a shout out, an email. If you have any questions, put the comments down below. Contact Dr. Poe if you have any questions. Seriously, your health is your wealth. And what she's saying is advocacy. You have to speak up for your health. Even if you don't know any better, find out ways, find internet sources, find people, ask questions. It's okay. Like, it's all right if we don't know, right? So the more questions you're able to ask and they're able to answer for you, the better you'll be able to navigate your health and your family's health. And that's very, very important. Dr. Poe, I want you to end it on a good note. Again, business.
You did such a great job, but thank you for having me. Like I said, my email address, info@cryoandcontour.com. You all gave your Facebook and Instagram, so I guess I have to do that too. So Facebook is Cryo and Contour, and the Instagram is cryo_and_contour. So looking forward to hearing from you all. I'm done. I'll be back anytime you guys ask.
Oh, we'll definitely have a round. Definitely have time for round two.
Sounds good.
Definitely. And family, thank you for rocking with us today. But just really appreciate our physicians out here. If any of you all family members are going through it, we give a prayer and we hope things get better. But if you have experienced any loved or lost ones during this time, we offer our condolences. Please, your health is your main priority, and please take it into heavy consideration during these times, and take the necessary steps you need to in order to keep you and your family safe. On that note, family, we say peace and blessings to you, and we will see you again, the Grand Rising Collective, you all. Thank you for spending time with us.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Dr.
All right. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Yeah. Baby, yeah. You don't say very on this. You know I have patience.